Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Belgium's Tech Rocketship Awards. For those of you who I haven't met before, I'm Hannah Williams, Head of Investment at the British Embassy in Brussels, and I'll be your MC today. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Ambassador Martin Shearman to introduce today's event. Over to you, Martin.
Great. Thank you very much, Hannah, and welcome everybody to the Tech Rocketship Awards. It's great to have you with us today. Those of you who've been working with us for a while will know that for the last 5 years we've run a pitching competition for Belgian companies, Belgian IT companies, to pitch what they're doing to a panel of UK experts. And we have, I think today, a few former winners participating, so welcome back, and it's nice to see you again. This year's event, like lots of things this year, is slightly different. We're running this as part of a Europe-wide event, the Tech Rocketship Awards. So they're going to be similar events to the one we're running today, happening across Europe in different countries over the next few weeks. And the winner from each market event, will get a place in a grand finale, Europe-wide grand finale next year. The winners, of course, will get a tailored support package to help them grow in the UK. And really, I just want to say thank you to all of the companies who are pitching today, and thank you to all of the panel of experts and to everybody else who's watching online. Now, it's kind of obligatory for a British ambassador at the moment when he's giving, or he or she is giving any kind of public remarks, to say something about Brexit and what will happen at the end of the year. I'm going to keep that very short because, as a lot of you will know, there are still negotiations going on. Prime Minister Johnson will be in Brussels later today to talk to the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen. And it remains our objective from the UK side to get to a good agreement, a fair agreement, a reasonable agreement, covering trade issues, but also other important issues. Whether we get to an agreement or not, of course, things will change at the end of the year. In the transition period following our departure from the EU finishes, the UK will no longer be part of the single market or the customs union. But the message I really want to get across, just as an overall sort of pitch, I guess, to all of you, is that the UK is determined that the UK government's determined that the UK will remain a great place to do business. A competitive place, a place that attracts investment from around the world, and a place where new and exciting sectors, new developments continue to thrive and develop. And that very much speaks to the tech centre, of course. So to come back to today's event, it's an opportunity for some of the most innovative and exciting companies in Belgium to pitch to our panel. And we'd also like to see it as a clear demonstration of the close ties that exist between the UK and Belgium in the tech sector, which of course, almost by definition, is an international sector where companies work across borders. We've seen this year the role of tech in a very real way amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. There have been unprecedented challenges, things that I guess maybe some of the competitors took for granted have become part of the rest of our lives. Working online, connecting through Zoom and other tech, but also all of the huge scientific innovation enabled by tech and AI around medical advances has become something that we're all really focused on. So it's been a clear demonstration of the importance of continuing tech innovation. Now, we're proud of our record in the UK in this area. Last year, investment in the tech sector in the UK increased by over 44% to over 10 billion. It's not a competition, of course, but I would just note that that's more investment in that area than in France and Germany combined. We're second in the world for fintech, with investment rising over 100% in 2019 alone. And we're the number one in Europe for a huge range of emerging technologies, including AI, robotics, cybersecurity, virtual reality that will transform the lives of people around the world. The big announcement last week on the work that DeepMind are doing on protein mapping, for example, I think is a great example of that. This isn't just about London in the UK. The London probably is the preeminent tech hub and a preeminent global tech hub, but it goes far beyond London in the UK. There are tech clusters across the country, and 5 of Europe's top destinations for investment in this area include not just London, but Cambridge, Bristol, Edinburgh, and Oxford. And there are other clusters beyond those as well. So if you are thinking of setting up in the UK, it's worth looking beyond London. I guess, again, preaching to the converted, but I think what technology companies are doing, it's not just about maximizing profits, but it's also about sort of meeting wider societal aims and about using tech to push back the frontiers of what we can do and to combat some of the big challenges we face, environmental challenges, medical challenges, social challenges around poverty, loneliness, and so on. So it's great to see that companies that are active in those areas participating today. And to come back to my theme of the UK as a great place to do business and a great place to do business for the tech sector, I think it's worth perhaps just singling out that in the first half of this year, so including the second quarter, where of course the economy was really hit by the onset of COVID and the pandemic, there was $5 billion of new venture capital funding raised by companies in the UK in the tech sector. So that's in the first half of the year. And just to give you an idea of scale, that's nearly as much as was raised in the whole of 2019. So it shows how this sector and also the financial underpinnings that it needs are growing in the UK. And of course, that's a big reason for considering setting up in the UK. And I think amongst the companies that have been successful in sort of funding rounds in the UK over the last year, there have been some well-known Belgian names, including Delivered and Silverfin, who've both held successful funding rounds in Britain. Looking to the future, the British government's clear that the recovery from COVID and our economic future depend hugely on the sort of role that tech can play in fueling economic growth and recovery. So that's a big priority for the British government. If you spend your time reading through British government planning, financial forecasts, and so on, you'll see that there's a big emphasis on increasing investment, both public and private flows into R&D and innovation in the UK. So it's absolutely central to our future. And earlier this year, during London Tech Week, the government launched a new tech trade strategy for the UK tech industry, with a range of measures to help boost digital trade and ensure that the UK cements its position as a global tech powerhouse. So, and of course, those measures, the UK is an open economy, so those measures, support for growing our business, support for looking at new markets, they're available to all companies that have a sort of base in the UK, whether they're wherever their sort of parent company or wherever the original company comes from. So again, it's another reason to, I think, seriously consider the UK as a market, as a place to set up. The range of government support and assistance is important there. But of course, also innovation within the UK as a market, I think, is another important asset. The UK has a good claim in many areas to be an early adapter of new technology, new social innovations, new ways of carrying out business, new lifestyles, and so on. And with 5G arriving in the UK, it's now available in over 100 towns and cities across the UK, with major investment planned over the next few years, so that the majority of the UK population will have access to 5G by 2027 at the latest. Again, I think that will further fuel the take-up of tech-based innovation in the UK. It's also got a big role to play in the ambitious environmental programme that the government has set out. So last week, Prime Minister Johnson announced that by 2030 we would cut carbon emissions by 68%. So that's against 1990 levels, of course, and is a significant increase on the 55% that we were already at. And to get there, we're going to need to innovate. So as part of the announcement, the Prime Minister announced new investment in sustainable energy, in innovation in the transport sector, in the development of zero-emission vehicles, low-carbon aviation and shipping. And all of these things, of course, again, will rely heavily on tech to facilitate that move away from a carbon-based economy. So there's a huge amount going on in the UK. Sitting here in Belgium, reading about the UK, of course, a lot of it is seen through the prism of Brexit and what happens at the end of the year. Now, clearly, that's a big event. It's an important event, and for companies that are shipping goods back and forth, there'll be major changes to make. But I would really urge you to look beyond that. The UK is a great place to do business. The government is committed to ensuring that it not only remains a great place, but becomes ever more attractive, and to ensuring that the UK is at the forefront of innovation, technical development, investment and R&D. As well as all of the financial assets that and access to finance that the UK has to offer. So I want to close by saying what a pleasure it is to be here. Last year's event, which I was sort of fortunate to be at, as my first since being in Belgium, was great. There were some really impressive companies there. So I want to wish everybody who's pitching today the best of luck. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you all have to say and to seeing where the judging panel comes out. And then, of course, I hope whoever the winner is today goes forward to sweep the boards when we get to the grand finale across Europe. Great. So thank you very much for your attention, everybody. Best of luck. And now I will pass back to Hannah.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that great overview of the UK tech sector and some of the great developments going on there. I'd now like to move over to our panel of experts who will be judging today's event and sharing their insight and their expertise. So if you could each please introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your background and what you're looking for today. So we'll start with Emma from Fortunis Capital. Emma, over to you.
Thank you, Hannah. It's great to meet everyone and be here. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Emma MacRae. I'm an investment director at Fortunis Capital. Fortunis Capital is the largest impact investment fund in the UK. It's standing at 250 million. We are a venture capital fund that look for innovation that solve global problems. We invest in all types of tech, biotech, medtech, wellness. It doesn't matter what industry it is, as long as it's solving a problem and having a positive effect on society. We're also a UK Home Office endorsing body, so we seek innovation from around the world and relocate it back here into the UK. We have an R&D fund which helps to incubate and grow startup and seed level companies through to success into the venture capital fund further on. So for me today, I'm looking for concepts that are solving a global problem, that have a positive, measurable effect on society. And I wish everybody the best of luck pitching.
Thank you, Emma. That was really great. Now over to Lucas from Force Over Mass.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. So indeed, Lucas Stoops, I'm an investment manager at Force Over Mass Capital. We are an early stage VC fund, and we basically invest in B2B innovation across the EU and the UK. We can do that from C to Series B. So we typically like to invest, 1 to 2 million euros to start, and then we can scale up from there afterwards. We basically have 4 verticals in which we invest. That's everything related to AI, fintech, Industry 4.0, and then all the rest we basically put in SaaS, so that include gaming, e-commerce, and so forth. We are actually a special fund in the sense that we are, headquartered in London, but 5 of the 8 employees are actually Benelux people. So I think we have a good mix of, understanding the UK and understanding the Benelux market. It was mentioned what we're looking for today. Obviously, I would love to hear your product and everything, but it would be great to talk a bit about traction as well. Sometimes it's a bit left out when you only have 5 minutes. But I very much forward to hearing you guys pitch, and looking forward to have hopefully some good questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Now, we were due to have a third panelist with us today. Brilliant. Great to see you, Frederick. So welcome. And if you could just say a bit about yourself.
Yep. Thank you, Hannah. Can you guys hear me? Yep. So I'm Frederick. I work for Agoria. And Agoria is the Technology Federation of Belgium. Of course, we have more than 2,000 members, most of them being technology companies. And we also do a lot of work for startups. For instance, I'm leading the Scale Up Flandern program at Agoria, and Scale Up Flandern is the most comprehensive and the broadest guidance program for startups and scale-ups in Belgium. You might say. So I'm also very impressed by the nominees, by the list of nominees that will pitch this afternoon, and very interested in to hear where they are going, where they're standing right now. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation, Hannah.
Thank you very much to all of our panelists. Now, before kicking off with the pitches, I wanted to just give a bit of a background on the event to build on what the ambassador has already explained. So for those of you who are not aware, today's event is part of the Europe-wide Tech Rocketship Awards. So British embassies around Europe are running similar events. 3 winners will be selected from each of those events, and they will then be shortlisted to participate in a grand European finale next year, hopefully in person in London. So 8 different winners across 8 different categories will be selected at that finale event. And those winners will receive a tailored access to market package to really help accelerate their growth in the UK. And we've had sort of a really significant range of applicants today. And so congratulations to all of those who have been selected to pitch, because it was a very competitive, as Frederick has already touched on. So now that you know what's at stake, I think it's time to go on to the main event, which is the pitching. Just a quick reminder to all of the participants that you have 5 minutes to pitch your company. When you reach the final 30 seconds, a small reminder will come up on your screen. And then after the 5 minutes is up, we will cut you off. And then we'll move on to our panelists, who will have roughly 5 minutes of questions and on your pitch. So one final thing from me, just to the audience, please do participate. You can ask questions and make comments, which will show up on screen. And please also do tweet us and mention us on LinkedIn. So that's enough from me. I'd like to hand over to our first company, Unifly. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah, Ambassador, and all the participants. I wish them luck in this event. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to present Unifly. And I liked already Anna's remark, we need to solve global issues. Now, I have good news for you, Anna. We are solving a global issue here. So as the time is short, I will go quickly into the presentation. And even before I will start the presentation, in 30 seconds with a video, I will show you where Unifly is all about. We call it autonomous aviation. It means that Unifly stands for, in fact, it's safely integrating drones in our everyday life. And therefore, we provide a backend. We are a technology provider, providing the backend not only for the customer. You will see in the movie, the lady wants to sell a package with a DHL drone, but also for the pilot. You'll see them later in the movie, but also for the backend for the authorities. In the UK, we have nets. In Belgium, we have skies. And this video was made in the city of Antwerp, where packages were sent from the city towards the port. You will see it. And we provide also the back end for the local authorities for the port. And we provide them to the authorities as such. So I will start the video. I hope that everybody can see it. It's okay? Yeah. Okay, so here's the video. I hear that people cannot see my video. Is that correct? Because I'm sharing my PowerPoint. So it should be okay. Can anybody tell me if people can hear me? I am sharing the screen. Okay, then I will try another way. I'm sorry. I was sharing the PowerPoint, but it seems not to work. Can you see now my screen? I have no feedback from anybody, so I'm completely lost now.
Hi, Leon. There should be a button at the bottom of your screen.
I do share, and I can select the application, my PowerPoint, and I share, and now it should share. And now it seems that I have to go in my, that's why I wanted.
Yeah, now we can see it. Great.
Now you can see it?
Yeah. Don't worry.
You see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we can see that. Great. Thank you. We won't take that off your 5 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. Fine. Yeah, as I said, I had no preparation to test it. So anyway, so back then to the story. It's all about autonomous aviation, and I will show you now very quickly the video. So every element of the software solution that you see is provided by Unifly. Cool. So I hope you can all hear me and see the slides. So at this very moment, there are an air traffic system like NETS in the UK that is controlling the airspace. But if you might remind, there was a huge drone accident in 2019 with Gatwick Airport, where the Gatwick Airport had to close. And I think it was more than 1,000 flights had to be diverted or cancelled. You can imagine the impact. So therefore, 5 years ago, our founders, pilots and air traffic controllers started Unifly to really solve the issue of the combination of drones into the airspace. So we developed a UTM system, an unmanned traffic management system that is directly connected to the ATM systems of the regular commercial aviation. So, and in the future, it has to become one system. And that is exactly what we did and developed and at this moment rolling out. Where do we see the business? There's a lot of business potential in the drones. It's not a question anymore if they are coming, but where that really takes off. We see that seriously now in the world that inspections, emergency services, and surveillance are the applications which are highly used, of course, besides the defense industry. So Unifly is providing that one single source of truth for the user, the pilot, the drone owner, and or the authorities. And you can see on the right side that we already have currently systems in place where you see this, the general aviation, commercial aviation, and drones all in one supervisory screen. So you can see the friend and the foe in the air. The second screen on the right, you see with the Civil Aviation Authority in Singapore, where we had urban air traffic test with a Volocopter, an air taxi, and we provided there the tracking solution. So the Civil Aviation Authority could look towards this test flight. So we also provide testing and identification for drones. Then we have a few very big projects already done. And last night we won there a big award with, by the way, that is in the city of Antwerp and the harbor of Antwerp. We did huge tests and trials with drones. We did it in 17 places around Europe as we speak. This is the latest one in Finland, where it was also with an air traffic taxi from Volocopter, where our system is providing it to the authorities, the supervising system. Now, this is not all science fiction. We already have 5 commercial rollouts. The biggest one in Europe is in Germany. Then we have the latest win, and it went live 2 weeks ago, is the second biggest and largest airspace in the world. It's Canada. So we also provide now an UTM system for the Canadian airspace. So that's about Unifly. As you can see, we are solving a global issue, is how to safely introduce drones in our everyday life. Thank you very much.
Hi, sorry, the classic of being muted. Thank you very much for that, Leon, and congratulations on your recent win as well. I'd now like to go over to our panelists for their questions. So panelists, please fire away. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I can start if that's okay. I have 2 questions. One, typically, how big is your market? Is it typically one aviation entity per country that you target, or is it possible to work with several entities per country? And 2, organizations and multinationals such as Airbus are working on their own systems like yours. How are you dealing with this, and what's the situation there?
That's an excellent question. Indeed, when we first started the company, our main focus were the national authorities. Can you hear me okay? Just fine, because yes. This is the first time I'm talking. Okay, awesome. Since the new European legislation has come into place, we now have a lot more players in this industry. So we are also targeting the local authorities, such as, for instance, ports, such as airports, who under the new legislation become the authority over their own part. And as a tertiary market for us, the drone operators themselves, the large enterprises who want to manage a fleet of drones, are also a potential customer for us. So right now we are targeting the national and the local authorities. So it's a very wide market.
I have 2 questions, maybe, if I may. First of all, Leon, I see you only became recently CEO. So what's the story, with the founding as CEO? And then B, how do you plan to charge? Basically, is it like just for Gatwick Airport 1 fee, or is it per flight, or how should we think about that?
Yeah, thank you, Lucas, for the question. So indeed, MacRae was the founding CEO 5 years ago, together with the other 4 founders. But after 5 years, as every phase of a venture You need to, let's say, fine-tune your management team. It was time to, let's say, reevaluate the strategy after 5 years because the market evolved, technologies are available, first contracts are signed. Second one was about scalability, of course, to go from a startup to a scale-up environment. So we had to reset the strategy, we had to reset the management team, and we had to reset our business plan. Also given, of course, the fact of COVID and the drone regulations, the use phase that comes into place by the 1st of January now in Europe. Yeah, a lot of changes in the market, and therefore it was time to lift up the management team as a whole. And as I said, I was already involved in Unifly 3 years ago because of a potential investment, so I knew the company very well. So the founders, including Mark, also recommended to the board to get me on board as a CEO. Second question you had, Lucas, about the revenue. Yes, it starts with a setup fee. Then, of course, annually you have a licensing fee for the software. But, of course, the most important is the recurring revenue. So we get now in Belgium, in Canada, in Germany, we either have a revenue share model or we have a fee per flight, per drone, per authorization, etc. Yeah, so from both the national authorities, local authorities, but even more in the enterprise space, the operators, we have a revenue share model and or a model per flight or per drone.
Thanks.
Hi, Leon. Hi, Ellen. I'd just like to explore the tech a little bit more. Can I just ask what measures are in place in the tech to prevent kind of cyber attacks and malware being instructed in these?
Yeah, of course. Good question. It is different. We have a DFS. It's an on-prem solution. So there we are behind the firewall of DFS themselves, the Deutsche Flugsicherung. All the others we are moving to a SaaS environment in 2 years. At this moment, most of the deployments are on Microsoft Azure. Yeah, so there we have, of course, the firewalls in place as well. And of course, we have very tight, let's say, penetration tests, both by our customer and ourselves. And so we have an external cybersecurity company that is advising us, that do the pen testing, as they call it, from inside and outside, by the way. And we have, of course, the customers like Enough Canada and or DFS, or guys that do their own cybersecurity tests with their own experts. So we are from all sides challenged with our cybersecurity.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Any other question?
Well, I had a second question that Ellen didn't answer yet about the competition from large players such as Airbus and others. What's the situation there?
Yeah, there are 3 types of competitors. We have VC-backed competitors like Unifly. You have them in the US, you have them in Europe. These are small companies that either come from let's say, the software development, or they come from, let's say, the aviation industry. These are the ones, and we are there quite successful. And then the second ones are the traditional ATM, air traffic management system companies, where you have the Thales in France and the Frequencies, etc. Yeah, many of them. They slowly step into this business, but for them it is quite a big step because they are not used to the volume, the size of the drone, because a drone you cannot identify with a regular radar system. Yeah, it's a step to digitize the ATM systems. There's a lot of manual work still in those processes. Yeah, so you see that the old school ATM providers indeed stepping into and signing strategic partnerships with companies like Unifly together to offer an ATM, UTM offering, or they try to do it themselves. And then you have, of course, the very big ones, the Airbus and all Boeings, that are also indeed investing in this kind of systems, also because they have their own drone activities in the helicopter divisions. But you see that, for instance, Lufthansa Systems, a big system house in Europe in the aviation, they stopped the UTM development because it was too new for them. They went back to the maintenance part. Also, Boeing stopped their UTM stuff. because it was too specialized. And that's why we are Unifly. We are lucky because 2 of our founders are air traffic controllers. So they were in the tower when the first drones flew through the airspace. So therefore, these are the 3 types of investors that you have right now. And of course, in the third one, the giants, also Google is a big giant that steps in, and not necessarily from the aviation industry, but just stepping in because they believe that the enterprise part will be at the end a very interesting business model for them.
Great, thank you very much, Unifly, and to our panelists for your questions. I'd now like to hand over to Bert from Geckomatics for our second pitch. Over to you, Bert.
Am I on? Okay, great. You should be able to see my screen. All right, great. So indeed, thanks for the intro, Hannah. Calling in from Belgium. I am the founder of Geckomatics, and the idea originally came up when I was on an assignment for a city, where I noticed that about, I would say, 75 to 80% of business processes in cities have something to do with locations. So in cities and lots of private companies, they are very relying on data, on geographical data. Unfortunately, traditionally, this is very hard to come by. This is the reason why. You can see it here. There is a lot of overhead in buying these vehicles. So what you end up doing is buying a project from someone who does it for you. It's a very slow, painful process, lots of manual labor, limited in functionalities, and it will take you a lot of time. So you are always running behind the facts by lack of fresh, actionable geographical information. And this is why we conceived of Geckomatics. We built the whole stack from hardware to data. So we have designed a portable 360-degree camera that can be mounted on any vehicle. We don't own vehicles. We give out the toolbox to our customers who use it on their vehicles, which is also a reason why we are not limited to our own location, unlike traditional mappers. The secret sauce, of course, is in our cloud platform, where we have very advanced artificial intelligence that automates the manual labor. It is able to create full 3D models. It is able to extract all kinds of information about objects that you can see in public space. And what you end up with is professional grade geographical information that is ready to use for professional users. The secret sauce is in our integrated solution. Of course, you can do a lot of these things using, for example, smartphones. However, you will never get the broad scope of use cases that we can, and you will not have the professional grade geographical positioning. So this is why this is a very strong business model that's hard to beat. Just an example here of something that our software sees behind the scenes. This is a mapping, and in this case, it's traffic signs, light poles, trees that are being mapped. They are being recognized and positioned to a very low error of accuracy on a map ready for professional users. We are able to create full 3D models. This is from a customer in Israel. So we are able to create digital twins of cities, which of course opens up a whole host of possibilities. We have customers in different countries and different sectors: mobility, urban management, tree management, you name it. If you can see it in public space, we can put it on a map. However, we focus for the moment on 2 verticals: smart cities, for which there are numerous use cases, just 3 mentioned here, but there are many more, and the other vertical being road authorities. There is a lot of money in these sectors, and it is a growing sector. The benefit of our product is that it's faster, more affordable, and more future-proof than any other solution currently on the market. Our business model is pretty straightforward. Our users are interested in information, and that is what they buy from us. We don't sell hardware. We don't sell images. What we sell is metadata, is processed data from the raw footage. We still own the raw footage, but our customers pay for having information about their traffic signs, about the trees, whatever they are interested in. And it is priced pretty straightforward. You pay per kilometer, and this is our business model. We are currently scaling up to a number of countries. We are actively selling in 5 countries. And we are looking forward to expanding to more countries on the roadmap. It's a huge market, multi-billion-dollar. If you take the overall geographical information market, it's growing by about 17% per year, which means every 4 years you have double the market. And we are, of course, in a pole position to grow very fast, given that we have such a strong product. Just to, as a testimony to that, we have some pretty strong vendors. Microsoft has recently become a partner. Geoda, which is an Israeli company, is marketing us in Israel and Latin America. I got interest from Australia. I have a partnership with Arcadis, which is active in 40 countries, and so on and so forth. This is my team. Jordan is my CTO. He has a track record having made algorithms for Uber and others, and we are a growing team and internationalizing fast. And that's it. I think I'm within time.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Bert, and also for keeping to time. Over to our panelists now for their questions.
Hi, Bert. Can I ask, what competition do you have in the market, and what IP do you have on your technology?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good question. So we have actually two classes of competition, one of which I showed, the traditional mappers, so the rather small companies with a fleet of vehicles and equipment. They produce very high quality data, but it's very expensive, not flexible, and their use cases are pretty limited. It's basically images plus a little bit more, but not as much as we have. The other end of the spectrum are, of course, the freebies, the ones that we know, Google Street View and the like. This is cool and everything, but it's not fit for professional use. A city will not use this to win information about their traffic signs or anything, because you cannot extract it. The positioning is not accurate enough. So what we do is we try to be in the middle in terms of affordability, but with proficient grade quality.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, Bert. Great presentation. But can you tell us something more about your business model? Do you offer services, or do you sell hardware, or do you sell software? So
sure. No, we sell data. We sell data. That's all our customers get from it. Yes, of course, in order to create that data, there is some toolbox that they need, of a piece of hardware, but especially cloud computing. But basically what they are interested in, what they need, is information, and that is what we sell to them.
Okay.
Would it be an idea, Bert, instead of always using cars for rural areas, to use more drones to fly over quickly, and also besides mapping roads to do forest, woods, or anything like that, or you want to remain focused on city centers?
That's an excellent question, and I'm happy that Unify was before us, because we are like contingent. Yes, in the future we foresee that we are allowing complementary sources of data. Those are two different things from a suite level versus from the air, and I think there's value in both. But I wouldn't say it's competing, it's a bit overlapping. But if you're going to map a complete city, for example, hundreds of kilometers, it's going to be difficult to do that with a drone. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort. Whereas in our model, it's just, have some cars drive around, and in a couple of days you're finished. But indeed, yeah, for some use cases, it might be indeed valuable to have extra data from the sky. Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe to continue on the question of Lucas, how scalable is your model? Because you do need cars with the hardware on it to be able to provide in the data. Maybe later on you can go for drones as well. But how scalable is your model right now? Because you do need the cars to be able to provide in the data.
Well, the good thing is that we don't use cars. Our customers have cars, and all they need to do is have our software, our equipment for a limited amount of time. Like they can use it for a month, for example, while they create the data, and then after that, the hardware can be shipped to the next customer. So we are quite scalable. It's also repeatable business, which because by definition, geographical information ages. So after 1 year, your data is obsolete and you need to do remapping. On the other hand, once you have the footage, you can extract a lot of information from it even after mapping, even if that was not your intention. For example, we have cities that start with making inventory of trees, and then they show it to different departments, and they are also interested in having their traffic signs mapped or their potholes. So there's a lot of cross-selling and upselling and repeat business in it.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions.
Any follow-up questions there?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bert, and thank you to Gecko-Matics. I'm now going to hand over to Antoine from Cubigo for our next pitch. Over to you, Antoine.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well, Hannah?
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
So we're still having a problem to share my presentation. I don't know if Elias was able to open the link. Yes, perfect. Wow, that's amazing. Hello, everyone. My name is Antoine Smets, and I work for Cubigo. So first of all, Elias, next slide, please. Let's start with the challenge that we are trying to solve. First of all, the population that is 65 years and older is growing at 3 times the rate of the rest of the population. And the costs of keeping our elderly safe and healthy is rising. It doubled over the past 5 years in retirement homes. And last but not least, 44% of our seniors are coping with depression and loneliness problems, so mental problems. So on the next slide, you see some of the headlines that we made that were, next slide, please, Elias. Some of the headlines of the past year, because we all know that due to the COVID crisis, not only we all were impacted and the economy was impacted, but where our seniors were impacted much harder. They went in full lockdown and loneliness was a real issue. So what is Cubigo trying to do? You'll see on the next line our mission statement. Our mission, Cubigo is a platform that empowers the seniors, their families, and the people taking care of them to live a more fulfilling and healthy life. So how are we doing this? On the next slide, you see some of our clients. So we are very present across the US and Canada, having our R&D team in Europe, but most 95% of our business is done in US and Canada. And what are we offering? You'll see on the next slide. Is our apps for families, for staff members, but also for the residents, allowing them to access all the services that are provided within the residencies, and also allowing them to connect with each other. So allowing at the one hand side to attend an activity, to order a transportation ride, to order, make a dining request, but also to connect with family and residents around certain topics. On the next slide, you see the 4 key stakeholders that use the Cubigo platform. First of all, the staff members within these residencies. By providing them the tools that make their work more efficient and taking them away from a repetitive administrative task, we increase their efficiency. By increasing their efficiency, they have more time to spend with residents and care about the residents. So we take the staff away from behind their PCs and we put them in front of the resident again. Of course, we also do resident empowerment by giving the resident the tools to make themselves requests, to take, to have control over their lives. We empower them and they are not at the mercy of other people to take care of them. Also, we involve family. Today, a family is only in contact with the senior community when there is bad news. We change that around and we give daily, weekly updates to the families and opportunities to families to connect with these senior living residences around questions that they have. Last but not least, many of our clients don't have a single home, but have many, sometimes hundreds of communities. And it's very hard for them to understand the quality of the service that is being delivered to their final clients, meaning the seniors. By having dashboards, by having reporting, by rolling up the data that we capture on the ground, we provide them with the tools and the insights to take the right decisions and to make the right investments. On the next slide, you see, thank you, you see that there is something changing also in the senior living industry. The adoption of new technology is on the rise. The seniors start to embrace new technologies, and we see that, for example, 77% of our seniors that are above 65 years old use a smartphone. This is a recent survey done in the US. Just some metrics. So on the next slide, you see some of the recent developments we made. Like I said, COVID hit these communities hard. So what we did is take out the seniors from their anonymity. So they're not blocked in their rooms or in their apartments anymore, but they can see who else is living in the property and connect around certain interests. And as a last slide, I want to show one of our latest developments is the in-room TV channel. So they connect over the TV channel, they can join their yoga class. And this is not just a YouTube yoga class, this is a yoga class organized by staff on site. And last but not least, safety is priority. We connected with a thermal scanner to make sure that everyone comes in is also healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antoine, for that. It's very interesting and a very topical issue. Over to our panelists for their questions.
Hi, Antoine. Great to meet you. This is a huge problem here in the UK with residential homes, and I can see the need that you're trying to meet. Just to delve further into the technology side, there I feel is an assumption that the care homes have the technology on site for the users to use the app, or do you actually deploy iPads with this already on? Because my concern is one area of issues with care homes here is lack of funding. So how do you mitigate technology not actually being on site for people to use if they don't have their own iPhone?
So we are an Apple mobility partner. So Apple has some partners in some verticals, and one of the verticals that they address is the senior living industry. And we have been selected as a worldwide partner, meaning that the hardware is delivered by Apple, and they provide leasing models, because indeed the financing is the hard part. And so through these lease models where they don't need to buy the hardware, but they lease the hardware that is fully integrated with Cubigo, you take away that burden.
Okay, perfect. And is there any way, not that I'm skeptical of care workers here in the UK, but is there any way that the data can actually be faked by the service providers so they rate themselves a higher level of activity and care than they are actually giving?
There is always a risk of having compromised data or fake data rolling up to the higher levels in the organization. We try to mitigate that by showing how good data helps them with their day-to-day job. So as a local care worker, the better the data I enter in the system, the better insights I get, and the more efficient my work becomes. So I have no incentives of starting to fake data.
Perfect. And in terms of revenue streams, is this going out on a subscription basis to the care homes, or is this per user?
Subscription based per home, so a monthly license fee, not per user, because we see the more user, the more value. So we push actually the adoption of family members. Sometimes we have hundreds and hundreds of family members, adoption of residents and staff. So it's really per unlimited users.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Of course.
If I may, where are you in terms of traction, both, how many care homes and revenue?
More than 500 homes, most of them in the US and Canada. We do have one of the top 10 players in the US that signed up for us, and we are at several millions in annual recurrent revenue.
Okay.
Hi, Antoine. I also have a question. The US and Canada seem like natural markets for Cubico, because you have the very large care homes. In the UK, you probably have a similar situation, but in other European countries, people tend to stay at home for a much longer time and tend to grow old in their home environment. What does that mean for Cubico? Does that mean that Western European markets are less interesting or are harder to target and are harder to convince than the US market and maybe the UK?
Clearly, the US, Canadian, and UK market are more mature for a solution like ours. That's clear. That's why we also target these markets. But we do have big contracts in Europe. So we work with the #1 player in Belgium, SLG, and we help them, for example, with one specific module to organize family visits during COVID. So they might be not ready for a full-fledged platform like we offer, but they are ready for some of our crucial modules, like the visitor management module. But again, our focus is US first, Canada, and now we want to target the UK because the UK is nearly a copy-paste of what we see in the US.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for that, Antoine. Any follow-up questions from the panel?
No, that's great.
If not, we'll go over to our fourth company. So welcome, thank you. Welcome Jerry from Xdroid to our virtual stage. Thank you. Over to you, Jerry. Hi, Jerry. Sorry, you're on mute. If you could just go to the bottom of your screen, you should have an unmute option, and then we can go back to the beginning.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
All right. So,
feel free to go back to the beginning. We will restart the clock.
Yeah, that's appreciated. I restart my clock as well. So let me go back then and start here. So my name is Gerry de Graaf. I'm the managing director of Xdroid International. We're in the voice analytics business. We are providing voice analytics solution, particularly for contact center industry. So what we do and why are we doing this? Why is it relevant? I think we all know that in the past we would go to the corner of the street and find a bank or insurance company, etc., and have personal customer interactions. But as these are closing down, what we see is that the contact center is becoming the sole source of human interaction with the customer, and even more so now with COVID-19, with everybody working from home. So contact center is becoming more and more important for any type of business in their interaction with customers. But the question is, what do we know about what's going on in these conversations? So which topics are being discussed? Where do people complain about? Do my agents comply with compliance rules? What's the efficiency in my contact center? Can I predict if a customer calls into my contact center if they want to terminate the contract? So right now, this is done by quality managers, and they can listen to about 2% of the calls, and that could be a good call, it could be a bad call, but it's not really the right way to measure this. So the benefit of using a voice analytics solution is that we can measure 100% of all the calls from all the agents, that is coming in. And we use that then to really provide an overview. And here you see it at a very large, at the corporate level, but we can drill down to department level or to agent group level, to individual calls and to individual agents, to find everything out about these calls, about the compliance levels, first call resolutions, emotions, productivity of agents, and a lot more. So that's what we do, and it provides all kinds of input, to solve actually three most important issues. The number one is, how do I improve my compliance and reduce my risks as a contact center? How do I improve the customer experience? How can I increase customer retention, do upselling, and how do I automate my quality assurance and improve the efficiency, manage my KPIs, best practices sharing, and train my agents? So the market that we are serving is actually growing fast and is projected to be around 1.9 billion in 2026. We are a privately owned company which is headquartered in Belgium, R&D in Hungary. We started internationalization in 2018 with a mix of experienced management and young technical people. We have our own proprietary real-time solution. I will talk a little bit more about that later. Language engine and emotion detection. So we have a lot of technology knowledge in the house. We receive recognition from some leading analytic some leading analyst firms, and we also announced mid-January an award that we just received from one of the top 3 global analyst firms for innovation. We work together with some major companies as business partners, and also we have A-brand customers in insurance and in energy ministries and in outsourcers. Capita, mentioned on the right-hand side, is the largest BPO in the UK. So in terms of how we differentiate ourselves, apart from the technology that I just mentioned, is that we have a deep understanding of customer and agent behavior. But even more importantly, I think that when we build the technology, when we build a solution, we do this based on customer needs. So we love technology, but we even more love when technology is being used by our customers and offers them meaningful capabilities. So this agility is something that our customers cherish. We have 2 solutions. One is voice analytics. It's a post-call, and the other one is called Agent Assist, and this is a real-time solution. So what does it mean? And because it's real-time, it's really a new innovation. And it means that we immediately, when words are being spoken, when the conversation is going on, that we can advise an agent in real time. We can also do a wrap-up at the end, significantly reducing the time of the calls, or the average handling time. We can also provide automated lookups, which you can see here somewhere on the right-hand side, where it will automatically trigger a lookup into a website or another application, also significantly reducing the average handling time there. It can provide alarms to the management. Here you see the management overview with all the calls that are ongoing. This is something that we have developed together with Capita in the UK and with some other UK partners that are mentioned here below. UK is the largest European contact center market, very innovative. Lots of other partners, some of them are not mentioned here. We like to keep that private, but we work with another number of UK-based companies. And contrary to what I just heard, for us, the UK is a beachhead to go to the US versus going from Canada or US to the UK. So it's a very relevant, important market, and that's why we're happy to pitch here today. Thank you for your attention. I hope I'm within the time frame.
Thank you very much, Jerry, and it's great to see such a large UK client on there as well. So over to our panel now for their questions.
Hi, Jerry. So my question is, obviously, contact centres are, still heavily used here in the UK. It's a very, very large market. But how do you mitigate the fact that more and more you're getting actual virtual chat with bots that are coming up on screens instead, and you're not actually speaking to human beings less and less now? So how do you mitigate that?
Yeah. That's a very relevant question. So I think there's two components to that. Number one, yes, there's more and more chats, email, and other kind of text traffic. However, the voice component remains very large. So that's still, at least a stable, if not growing, market. The second one is that we're looking at what we call omni-channel, and that is to integrate the text into our voice analytics as well. And actually, that is what we're doing right now. We have not really been promoting it a lot because there has not been a lot of demand. However, we're seeing that is popping up, and we're ready to do that. Yeah.
And do you see this being a capability that's almost preloaded into telephone software before it goes in, or is this a plug-in feature that you add?
You mean the text capability?
Sorry, just the actual the voice recognition.
No, the way that it works is that we actually it's installed on servers, okay. And then we get a call from a recorder, which is post analytics, or we get a stream directly from the telephony system, which is called the PABX. It streams directly into our system. So, and that's actually that sounds simpler than it is. So we're really proud.
It always does. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
If I may, two questions. I see a lot of beautiful logos, but can you talk a bit through the traction, maybe in terms of revenue and what is the biggest project maybe you're working on? And then B, we have seen very similar companies to yours. So why are you so different than the current solutions out there in the market?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to privately disclose revenue, but not here. And
sure.
We do more than a couple of million of revenue today. Largest implementations are over 500 agents, and that number is growing. Can you repeat your second question, because I forgot.
Why are you so different? I mean, there are many, not many, but there are a couple of solutions out there who do very similar things to yours. So why do you believe you're different?
Yeah. Well, I hoped I highlighted that in the presentation, but I'm happy to repeat. So I think that we are different because of our agility. Yeah, there are some pretty large firms, but if you have a request, you may end up at the bottom of the list of changes, and you may wait a year or longer before you get the functionality that you need. The second one is that we do have our proprietary technology. So even if we sometimes integrate with third parties, we do have that knowledge ourselves. We built our own language engines. The search and emotion detection, I think we are one of the few that have built an emotion detection engine. So I think those are probably two of the main ones, but the real time, I think, is really a big one. You have to think that we worked with Capita for a very long time. I will not disclose how long, but very long time, to get that up and running. So we're really proud of that technology, and we think it is a game changer. The ROI on the solution is really something gives a totally different perspective on this type of solutions. So that's number 3.
Okay.
Maybe to add to that, Jerry, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's the big roadmap? What's the big plan for your company?
Yeah.
Which markets will you target now after the UK and going into the US?
Yeah, we're going to launch very soon Spanish-speaking market. Together with our partner Deloitte in India, we're also targeting the Japanese market. So that will be 2 of the markets that we're going to work on. We're making our first inroads into the US. So I think that's the big language markets that we expect to hit. I see ourselves in terms of technology integrating more and more with data lakes, CRM type of information, so that if you would call into, let's say, an insurance company, and you would have product A, B, and C, but you are not insured for your home insurance, for instance, that the agent would get immediate input during the conversation, not just about what you are discussing, but with your whole background, predicting beforehand what would be the best moment to talk to you about a certain thing, or predicting that if we don't offer this or that we may lose you as the customer. We're already working on this kind of stuff, but it will be next stage before we implement it. But I think that would be really extremely exciting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Jerry, and to the panel for keeping your questions so much on schedule. I'd now like to hand over to our fifth company, to Jamal at Innovad. Jamal, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that I'm going to take you to somewhere else from my other colleagues. We here at Innovad, we provide solutions for agriculture in order to improve performance and efficiency. Most of our solutions are naturally driven. Our business vision is actually to have animal well-being in synchronization with the environment. Our mission is to improve performance of animal production, and our vision how to create that is focused in creating a trust between us as a company and our other stakeholder, let it be our customer or our research institute or our supplier. The biggest challenges of the animal production is actually many people, they don't realize that more and more animal production is like a factory. So if you look in the picture on the right, this is how a chicken looks like in 1957, and that's how it looks like today. So even though it's the same chicken, we are forced by our knowledge and technology to actually, from the same gene, produce the maximum amount of meat or food for a growing population. At Innovad, we do understand our market segment which we work in, and we do analyze all our competitors, because we believe our business is the link between nutrition and health. And if you can have this link fine-tuned, you can have the maximum and optimum production from your substrate. We do this by implementing research in several universities and in-house based on market fundamentals, so either public opinion or legislative opinion. So we monitor that quite regularly in order to fine-tune what's the next project which we are going to take over for the next 2 to 3 years. Further, we look at food trends, so how people like to eat their food, what's the population awareness as far as the environment is concerned, animal production concern, health concern. All of that forms a critical point whereby we take it as an R&D project in order to provide solution to the industry which we are active in. So finally, what do? Contrary to my other colleagues, we actually supply a product, a solution, which aid animal for a better health with less necessity to use either antibiotic or to use any other means in order to maintain productivity and survival. We do that, I mean, we are pioneering in the area of safety, food safety. So we started with mycotoxin analysis, and we are the only one globally who today can analyze mycotoxins, so toxic effect of feeds into actually from the blood into animal metabolite, which is a pioneering. We have been many years working in gut-brain axis, so gut health, in order to prevent diseases and improve immune response. We are actually pioneering in that. We're doing that by cooperation with several universities in Europe, in the US, and in other areas. As a company, just to close here, we did, because we are in this business for several years, we did have in place all elements which can be which render our business successful. So we have our own research in-house, plus collaboration with several research institutes. We have our global presence, so we are globally active into the market. We have our own production and our own strategic marketing department where we penetrate the global market. I'm not sure if I still have time.
30 seconds left, Jamal.
Yeah, okay. So just because we are trying to pitch here for our introduction into the EU, I would like to share with you one of our adventure in Italy. So about 8 years ago, we decided to go into Italy. We had a cooperation with the biggest integrator in Italy. Today, we have a business of almost 28 million. We have a production facility in Italy, and we are the biggest in natural pigment. So the pigment is the color where you have it in your breakfast, the eggs. All of it is actually, we are the only European producer of natural egg coloring. Natural coming from flour into your table every morning. So this is what we try to do in every market which we are operational in. And we focus into our competencies to provide, to be part of a successful food chain.
Thank you very much, Jamal. That was very interesting. It was slightly difficult to see your slides, so perhaps we can follow up with those afterwards. Over to the panel now for their questions.
Hi, Jamal. Thank you. That was really interesting. Can I ask, I mean, farming over here in the UK is yeah, it's under so much pressure. So this is very much on trend, your product, but cost over here has a significant factor. Prices are driven down by supermarkets every day of the week. So although farmers would love to use alternative supplements, they are very much dictated by cost. So can I ask what the comparables are here towards, you know, traditional supplements?
Basically, the cost is relative to its management, consumer demand, and cost is all correlated. So if you want a quality, you cannot compromise it by saying, okay, I want quality, but I want it cheap, you know, unfortunately. So fact of life, the cheapest way, you have an animal which is sick, you treat it with antibiotic. But we don't want antibiotic in our meat because this have a subsequence to our cells. Therefore, if you don't want to use antibiotic, you need to use alternative. And alternative is a little bit more expensive, unfortunately. But this is the market trend, and that's how the market is moving. So today, actually, 10 years ago, it was less than 2%. Today, more than 40% of world production is antibiotic-free.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Today.
Yeah, fantastic. And is it approved by UK farming standards already, the product?
We have 3 people working in the UK today. So we have, our business is about 70 million euro. We have almost 50% of our business in Europe, because Europe being pioneering and having a healthier food. But we have 20% in the US. So the US in the last 4 years trying to cope up, and they are actually going faster than the European today. So you have many McDonald's who are promoting non-antibiotic burgers as well in the US, and non-antibiotic ever, which means even if they are sick, they don't give them antibiotic. So we have 20% of our business in the US, and then 30% in Asia and the Middle East.
Perfect.
And in the UK, we have 3 people, one in research, one having a regional role. And unfortunately, the UK market, because it's closed, we used to service it from Belgium. But due to the Brexit, and this is for our host, I just learned that the Brexit will bring 12% taxes into anything which is agriculture related. That will have a devastating effect in our business, and therefore we are looking at the UK in order to establish a manufacturing and the presence, because as you mentioned rightly, cost is very important, but it doesn't mean that we can sustain any levy imported by governmental organization in our business. We are struggling to maintain our marginality, and this 12% we cannot afford to pay. And therefore, it's a pressure for us to be in the UK, actually.
Right.
Unless they change their mind, hopefully.
Well, fingers crossed. With the pigment side of things, that's really impressive to produce all natural pigments.
We have 100% of the UK market.
That's incredible. And yeah, I mean, even to produce the color yellow alone, I know it's the most dangerous pigment to handle. So is there plans to actually to sell that as a side-alone structure alongside it? Because I don't think there's anything that exists similar.
When you have the egg, it's the color of the egg, and is very important, because to color the egg, it needs to be digested. Now, to color the food is easier. So carrot, you can color the food. Radish, you can color the food. Spinach, you can color the food. To color the egg, it needs to be digested, and then it goes as beta-carotene in the egg. And that is the challenging. We are #1 in Europe, and actually 100% of the UK use natural pigment. Good for the UK, and bravo for the guys in the UK. Germany is 100% synthetic, so it's the contrast. And everything in between is in the middle, you know, half and half.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Jamal, it's very impressive what you do. Thank you for sharing your story. But what exactly is the link with technology? Because this is a Tech Rocketship. This is a technology contest. So what is the link with the technology scene?
Technology is in everything we do in our life. I believe we have technology because you take a strawberry juice, you enjoy it at home. That's it for you. The concept is finished. For me, it just started because I take the pomace, and now my challenge, I need to get rid of the water. Then I need to extract the polyphenol. It's very powerful antioxidant, which a lot of people today is aware of. Make of it a product and sell it. And that's out of something, instead of it's a waste stream, we make it an added value by having in-depth knowledge of the bioactive compound and how to extract them from these plant byproducts. So it's a process, and okay, technology, I believe, is not only computer or faceless. Technology is a human being, is a brain. It's the depth of your knowledge and what you do, in my view. That's why we took part of this.
Okay, thank you.
2 quick questions maybe from my side. First of all, are your clients pushed by any regulatory pressure to come towards products like yours? Meaning, is there a natural push from the government or regulation coming? And then B, plant-based, obviously getting bigger and bigger. Is that also a market that you could serve as well? I mean, it's not animals, but it's more than the same market. Is that something you serve as well with your solutions?
We can. Basically, government, yes, it's very, very important. In either way, either government, if they make regulation, it's helpful. But in the other side, also government, if you have a lobbyist who doesn't want this regulation to pass, that can be also a negative pressure. So on both sides, like the FDA, there is a lot of pharmaceutical company where we're lobbying. The US came behind Europe, where we started in Europe looking at reduction of antibiotic in animal use early 2000. In the US, late 2010. So 20 years, it was needed to increase the awareness and education for the lobbyists to fail. So regulation from government is important, but it's not the only thing. Consumer is the key. And that's where it brings me to your second question. Yes, plant alternative. In spite of today, we have risk of alternative to meat. So protein from peas or from vegetable. In spite of the heavy investment in stem cells and having 3D meat alternative. The world, as we see it in the next 50 years, is a meaty world. Meaning by that, fructarian or alternative for meat today is less than 2% of the market. We looked at our business, we have 7 billion population. We produce food enough only for 4 billion, efficiently. We try with this 4 billion to feed 7 billion. If we look at alternative, I don't believe if we want to manage eventually to fight hunger, that we can say, okay, we implemented across the board. Having said that, this market of alternative is a better market for us. The best market for us is cosmetic, pharma, and alternative protein. But that is not what we focus on because we perceive ourselves as part of the food chain, bringing food in the table economically, not cheaply.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, Jamal, and to all our panelists for their questions. It's time for a short break now. I think it's been a great and very varied first half. So we're going to go to a short 10-minute break, and for our audience, there'll be a few videos playing in the background, just providing some details on some of the great innovation taking place in the UK. So have a quick break, and we'll see you back here at 2:40 in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Welcome to the United Kingdom. Welcome to an automotive industry that exports to over 100 markets worldwide. Welcome to where the world's largest film studios make some of the biggest movies in any galaxy. Welcome to the first testbed for 5G technologies and speeds of 10 gigabytes per second. Welcome to where the world's top pharmaceutical companies find their talent. Welcome to the largest offshore wind farms in the world. Welcome to the biggest air transport system in Europe, a gateway for the world. Welcome to a land alive with opportunity.
The open economy, diversity of skills, the innovation, the agility are all there.
When you tell our senior officers and our specialists, say you want to move to London, everyone wants to move to London.
We've got an ecosystem that really enables people to start their businesses, scale them, and even exit or make them into billion-dollar successes from the UK.
Britain is a very business-friendly place. Everyone knows that it has a very stable and well-established legal system. Everyone knows about how important capital markets are.
We really have people who are genuinely wanting to get things done.
Creating jobs, creating prosperity.
Exchanging ideas and experience.
Innovation in its purest sense.
We want to be close to the financial markets with the largest network of investors.
We've brought together the old economy of financial services, the new economy of technology, into one of the leading fintech centres in the world.
It sits uniquely in a time zone. That means you can do business with anywhere in the world in the same business day.
I'm going to get a sense of the market and of the possibilities that we have ahead of us.
In looking to the future, the UK can be a land of opportunity.
Illumina is a company that innovates new technology to decode your DNA. We primarily work on people's genomes to decode the information within them, which really benefits understanding of disease and helps healthcare. The UK is a tremendous place to do business and to really benefit from the highly innovative environment that has really been developed with hundreds of years of academic excellence and continued investment right to the present day.
Got to start with the science. There's no way around it. So much innovation happens here in Cambridge, happens here in the UK. And that base of innovation both helps us in terms of our research and development, but the business I run around commercial operations, it also helps us just get fantastic talent to serve our business in sales, in marketing, and operations.
The UK is a tremendous place to do business. Illumina has invested in this space over the years, investment and acquisition. We currently work on 3 sites, but we are now investing in a major new development here at Granta Park to really bring everybody together and continue to grow in the very rich environment that surrounds us in this Cambridge area, with links to industry, healthcare and the university.
It's a good base for us, linking to both the scientists that support us from an R&D perspective, but also all the folks that help us from a business perspective. So whilst we have operations across 131 countries in EMEA, the UK is our headquarters. We have Chesterford, Fulbourn, and here at Granta Park, and it's going to be an opportunity for us to continue our research, to build out our operations, and quite frankly, handle our growth.
So the UK has always had a very rich tradition in innovation, based on very strong and long-standing academic foundations. The universities, particularly here in Cambridge and also Oxford and London, are tremendous places for innovation to develop around them. In this case, Cambridge in particular has been at the forefront for DNA, for genetics, and for the human genome. And this therefore has been a perfect place for innovation to continue and to build on those strengths. Illumina really benefits hugely from that environment. We also feed back into education and training, and they really develop skills that we can make good use of through long-term employment. The UK has a strong foundation in education, innovation, healthcare and genetics. That's a pretty unique contribution, particularly on a small country which is able to communicate very effectively and really is a launching point for wider access to Europe and beyond. And this is a tremendous strength to really operate in for a company like Illumina to continue to invest and grow those very important links using the UK as its European base.
We're here in the UK for 3 reasons. First of all, it's our amazing science heritage that we shouldn't underestimate the power of that. Secondly, it's a great hub for my EMEA business. And then finally, it's about the talent. I can get all the science skills, all the language skills here in Cambridge, and it really makes for an amazing team, which has a huge impact on my business.
Entity Data is a global systems integration and consulting organisation. We service a range of industries from public services to telecommunications to financial services. In the UK, we're using a range of different techniques around artificial intelligence. We're using machine learning to predict outcomes in hospitals, and we're using conversational interfaces to improve the experience of children in hospitals interacting with robots. Entity Data has been working with Great Ormond Street Hospital for about 2 years now. We were founding members of the DRIVE initiative. This is a lab within the hospital that is using the latest technologies to improve patient outcomes and the experience of the children coming through the hospital. The first project that we did with Great Ormond Street Hospital was a social robot project. We use AI to enable the robots to understand what the children are saying to them and to give them an interactive story that makes them feel at ease when they're in the waiting room.
Entity Data chose the UK as a European headquarters because two major reasons. One, the UK is the largest market in Europe, therefore has the greatest opportunity, but it's also the hub for innovation. The UK government has made a massive commitment and investment to AI, and at the same time, Entity Data UK announced an investment of £68 million in the UK economy, investing in new people, new offices in Birmingham and Scotland, investing in training, development, our innovation lab. This is very much about us investing in the UK. We're taking our AI innovation into healthcare and making people's lives better.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us. I hope you're feeling refreshed and ready for our next 4 companies pitching. So kicking off this second session, we have Mario with Uncomfort. Over to you, Mario.
Good afternoon. Nice to be present at this fantastic pitching session. And I would like to, as CEO of Uncomfort, I would like to introduce you to a new innovative patient care with digital therapeutics, because we develop digital sedation. It's a method to relieve pain and anxiety in patients which are undergoing treatments, or before treatments or after treatments, without using medication. And this is covering a global need, because there is a global need for a new approach in pain and anxiety management. Firstly, 60 to 80% of the patients suffer from huge acute anxiety during medical procedures, and doctors have to add opioids and benzodiazepines, so pharmacological products to that, which have side effects and also have a significant addiction factor. Look to the opioid crisis in the whole of the world known, and especially also in the US and also in the UK. Secondarily, there is about 500 million interventions globally, estimated about 80 million interventions in the UK per year, which are perturbated by the fact that patients are anxious or suffer from pain. That has negative outcomes, redos of interventions, and a huge healthcare cost. So there is need for a new therapeutic approach, and we focused on a non-pharmacological therapy called digital sedation. Digital sedation is, as a matter of fact, an invention of Uncomfort. We were founded in 2017, and we are headquartered close to Brussels. Our technology is based on the combination of, firstly, good clinical hypnosis, evidence-based clinical hypnosis that has been proven all over the years, combined with integrative therapies and implemented in virtual reality. We went the whole process to make it really a medical device, fully evidence-based. And we are an ISO 13485 compliant medtech company. In the last 3 years, we built a significant IP portfolio with multiple patents filed. Today, digital sedation has already been applied in 65,000 patients. Over 100 hospitals in Europe, mostly Belgium, France, some Swiss, some Germany, a little bit Holland. And there are 25 research studies that have been done, from which 5 randomized clinical trials, which really prove the safety and effectivity of digital sedation in healthcare. We can cover a broad range of clinical uses. And on our website, you can see a video of different interventions which are performed using our virtual reality digital sedation. That can be used in anesthesia, pain management, emergency, outpatient. We work in interventional radiology and cardiology, in aubergine, oncology, also pediatrics, and labor and palliative care. Important to see is that we have modules especially for children, and we can go from light sedation for small punctures to very deep sedation for huge interventions like knee surgery or hip replacement. We have made it scalable and very scalable through an academy which is globally accessible for continuous certification and education of patients and build protocols to be compliant. Is it effective? It's definitely better patient care. 30 to 100% less anxiety are proven in our studies. 50 to 100% less pain. 90% less sedatives or opioids in, for example, orthopedic interventions, or even full replacement of them. 80% possibility to switch from general anesthesia to a safer digital sedation and local regional anesthesia, with a shorter recovery and hospital stay for the patient as a consequence. Today, with 65,000 patients, 0 adverse events, and 100% higher satisfaction rate. And this is important as well. Patient is patient engagement, patient care is patient engagement, and we have also huge patient satisfaction. We just finalized an A round for 10 million, and the first goal is the international expansion, and we're planning to enter the UK in the half one next year, which means the first half of next year, with direct and indirect distribution to hospital and clinics. And we will set up research collaborations, for example, with the NHS. We're also expanding to 6 other countries during 2021, so we're going to be present in total in 12 countries and then expand to US. And we also built a broad pipeline of new applications. So to conclude, we can really say that a new category is born. Digital sedation offers a possibility, a technology-based possibility for patients to reduce their pain and anxiety without medication. We're ready to scale and become a standard of care.
Thank you very much, Mario. That's really fascinating. And I've been on the website and seen the videos, and I can confirm that they're very interesting. So over to our panel now for 5 minutes of questions.
Hi, Mario. Really interesting products. We've recently invested in a hypnotherapy app, so I absolutely know it works. Yeah, it's a fantastic solution to many things. Can I ask, obviously, unfortunately, everything in the UK health system comes down to cost. So are these going to be licensed out? Is this a subscription model? Does the hospital buy them? How do you play?
In the current phase, we work on a subscription model, which means that the hospitals pay a subscription for having access to all the different therapy sessions and all the time get updated. We're also working on the evidence base because we believe that it's important to get it into standard of care, and that means that we want to get it into reimbursement trajectories. Therefore, we need significant collaborations with healthcare centers and also academic centers to prove the effectivity in different cases and get to reimbursement.
And whereabouts are the products made at the moment?
Our product is fully developed in Belgium,
yeah.
And we have a collaboration with multiple universities in different countries already. We work together in Belgium, in France, with University Centra, who are helping us on the clinical knowledge and also the specific technologies for specific therapies.
And are those universities retaining any IPs of the work that they're doing for you?
Well, we have a kind of, in our fundamental values, we have put co-creation. And for example, a lot of it is the co-creativity, which we did as one example with the University of Liège, where as a matter of fact, the Consciousness Center, the Giga Consciousness Center is working together. We use combined efforts to really build a strong IP for which academics can build further on clinical therapies, on artificial intelligence algorithms, and do further research and kind of develop the technology further from a fundamental research perspective.
So with the IP that's being developed with the universities, that they'll stake their claim, what percentage going forward of revenue are you going to have to give the university for this?
Today, we have all our agreements are giving us full freedom of operation without compensation. And this is the fundamental first step which we wanted, because we came to a field which was completely new, talking to academic people, and then the academic people asked us clearly, hey, this is novel. We have not been thinking about this. We have not looked at this. So we wanted the core competence and the core IP to be fully internal Oncomfort property. And we have filed multiple patents on this. So this means that, as a matter of fact, we've well properly established an IP portfolio on our own.
Perfect. Great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Mario. I have a practical question. You say you want to target the US as well. Do you need FDA approval for your application there?
Yes, we will need FDA approval in that sense that we are now already preparing an FDA filing, and we are kind of investigating what is the best trajectory here, because we are innovative technology. We could go through a de novo technology track to the US to get FDA acceptance, or we could really be like breakthrough technology in a number of areas. So we're now preparing this, and we have evidence from our clinical studies which could be used or regenerated in the US as well for getting the approval.
And what's the time frame you see there to get
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, we are kind of preparing to be entering the US commercially at the end of 2023. This means that we really want to kind of have a year and a half. On the FDA, there's nobody who can predict when the permission is given. That's their right. But when we look to the de novo project, for example, we hope we can be even faster than 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Two questions on the product side. But first one, do you have any data that shows that patients prefer to use your kind of sedation than the more traditional methods? And then B, like, what is the cutoff point? You can't do everything with just digital sedation, right? So what is typically the barrier where you say, look, now we need to go back to the traditional methods because you really need to become sedated?
On your first question, these are very good questions, and the patient question specifically is an important one. We get a lot of feedback from patients that really say, this is huge, this is fantastic, because patients firstly don't get medication. They don't have aftercare. They don't need to be in recovery rooms because of the fact that they get opioid. If you look in day surgery or day diagnostics, patients come in, they do the diagnostic colonoscopy, for example, and because they didn't have any opioids or sedatives, after the copy, they can go home immediately and are fully functional again. So they don't have the side effects of the traditional pharmacological products. Secondarily, they're fully in control with a good comfort. Your second question on where are the limits? The answer is we don't know. Today we do interventions, from small interventions like shoulder and punctures, but we also do big interventions like total knee prosthesis, carotid surgery. Surgeons performed open brain surgery using our dissociation. And that's important. We dissociate the patient. So the patient is in an awake state, but he kind of does not perceive anything that happens around him, which means that this is a huge potential of switching general anesthesia, for example, and bigger interventions to local regional anesthesia in combination with digital sedation. And that's very, very good for the patient because you don't do central sedatives nor opioids to the patient. We are investigating together with the GIGA Center, for example, in Liège, how far can we go? And we are also looking definitely to quantify the dissociation capabilities. So it's definitely a huge potential in market.
Great, thank you very much, Mario, and to our panelists. So now moving from medtech to fintech, I'd like to bring in Martin from Illimity. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Hannah. I start? Okay, so thanks for having me. My name is Maarten de Kat. I'm co-founder and CTO of Illimity. And briefly said, we help enterprises lower their cyber risk by having more control over who can access what data within the company. And we do that mainly through our SaaS application for identity intelligence. After raising first customer base in Benelux, we're now looking to grow internationally, amongst which also to London, which is why we're in this competition. So, having control over who can access which data in an organization is key to addressing cyber threats, regulations, privacy. That's the whole point of the whole market of identity and access management, and it has been since the last decade. However, since then, mainly in enterprises, you see that IT complexity has only been growing. There's an increasing amount of employees, of customers, of applications, a growing mix of on-premise and cloud applications, surging compliance pressure from regulatory bodies. And the standard approach to having control over who can access what is identity governance, with processes like requesting access, approving access, reviewing access. And that's having a hard time keeping up with this complexity. This leads to high maintenance costs, but most importantly, security risks. And identity intelligence is becoming widely recognized by analysts and industry experts as the solution to these issues. Identity intelligence enhances human governance processes by using the objective data of accounts, permissions, groups, HR information, and so on to first help security experts understand their cyber risk posture in their company by answering questions like who can access critical applications, which employees have permissions that allow them to commit fraud, by adding management reporting about compliance and so on. And secondly, once you have that data, not just giving it to the core security experts, but empowering also all the line managers, application owners, role owners, what have you in an enterprise, by securely sharing this data in a way that is easy to digest for these often non-technical people. And then finally, once you have this high quality identity data, also use it for a basis, as a basis for identity, for artificial intelligence, for then automating the identity decisions in the governance processes. Well, in short, improved security, improved compliance, and better efficiency, that's the promise of identity intelligence. And Elimity, briefly said, is the identity intelligence company. We live and breathe this matter. Our mission is to improve companies' cyber risk posture by putting their identity data to work. And as said, we mainly do that through our SaaS platform specifically built for identity intelligence. This means it makes it easy to gather identity data from the most important applications in an enterprise. Then our core IP is a powerful engine built specifically for querying this data, visualizing controls, and automating follow-up. We then provide an extensive set of analytics and controls specifically for identity and access management for regulations like ISO 27001 or SOC 2 for common high-risk applications. And then finally, APIs to integrate this into the existing processes and automate access decisions, approvals, reviews, and so on. In terms of the company, we started Liberty 3 years ago. We've now built our first customer base in the Benelux, ranging from small but highly regulated banks looking for the sheer efficiency of our approach, to a Fortune 500 bank where we empower over 500 security professionals with our platform, up to the largest SAP deployment in the world, where we've automated the permission assignments. And in terms of the team, a major achievement of the last year is that we finally completed our team, now consisting of 12 people, of which a commercial and a technical founder, an ex-Fortunis as head of sales, and a very capable head of engineering and ex-CEO of Ubisen in our board of directors. And that and our first investment round led by 2 Belgian banks makes us now ready to scale. And as I said, that's why we're here. We've built our first customer base. We're ready to scale. So now let's put the UK's identity data to work. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Martin, and great to hear that the UK is so much part of your future plans. So over now to the panel for their questions.
Hi, Martin. Great to meet you. I think the UK will very much look forward to you guys coming over here. Can I ask, what kind of comparative other products are there on the market that facilitate a similar?
What kind of?
What competition do you have currently in the market? Because most kind of larger organizations over here have servers and permissions and things like that. So what other products are there that you're going to be competing with here?
Yeah, we always try to compete with the top. And so our major competitor, or at least the gorilla in the market, is a tool called SailPoint. It's a US-based, publicly noted company. And as the major vendors in this market, and if you look at the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, for example, it's all about supporting processes, about streamlining, requesting access, approving access, reviewing access, and so on. And the more innovative players in this market are adding this intelligence a bit themselves. For example, a SailPoint calls it predictive identity, a Fortunis calls it autonomous identity. We try to surf on that wave. This is both a challenge and as well as an opportunity. The opportunity is we're a small company, we don't have their marketing budget, so we have to try to surf the wave together with them. The challenge is that there's also a barrier to market. On that sense, there are two answers. One, from a technology point of view, they will always be limited by what they already have, and in terms of reporting and analytics, it's far less advanced than what we can provide, and it will always be far less advanced. The interesting thing is that if we try to compare ourselves to those market leaders, then all the other vendors or the customers of those vendors are major customer base, actually. So not the customers of a SailPoint, but of a One Identity, SAP, IDM, those vendors. They don't claim governance, they don't claim analytics at all, and that's our major target market.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hi, Martin. I have two questions. If I'm correct, you work with an on-premise license, and would it not be possible and would it not be easier to go into a SaaS, a purely SaaS model? And I ask myself the question if you will stay with your focus on the banking and on the fintech world, because banks are a bit conservative, especially in Belgium. So, but your application would make sense in other sectors like healthcare or pharma as well. So are you thinking about expanding your horizon in that regard?
Yeah. Okay. So the first question was about the deployment model, and actually the major deployment model is SaaS. It's software as a service. Well, we've done that because it's more scalable, but that being said, the major banks out there are not ready for SaaS, especially not if it comes to security sensitive data like all the accounts and permissions and so on. They don't want to hand that to a small Belgian startup. So on the one hand, we're working on SOC 2 compliance and so on to ease this worry. But on the other hand, we also provide hybrid deployments in their private cloud or on-premise if you really want that, but at an additional cost. But the short answer to your question is the primary deployment model is software as a service.
Okay.
Regarding the focus on the financial sector, that's something that we ask ourselves every quarter. The target market, our complete target market would be every company that has to have control over who can access the data within their organization. Well, within that set, the highly regulated companies are definitely the most forced to looking at our technology, and then the financial services market comes into mind quickly. But also pharma, healthcare, and so on are definitely likely. But our kind of solution requires also a form of maturity in the mindset. What we offer is not the standard as requested by regulations, for example, yet. You see that there's a switch going on, and that's actually why we exist. If you look at the new NIS regulation for security, and so they talk about more objective ways of proving that you're in control, while the previous ones, like the SOX regulation of 20 years ago, asks that you have the necessary processes. The default answer to, if you talk to a Deloitte or to the major analysts, is still just do the processes, and you need to have, well, you don't need to, but the easiest conversations for us are the ones with the companies that have already witnessed these processes in practice. They know the pain and they see that it doesn't work and it doesn't improve your security posture. And those are the companies that we focus on right now. And almost all of those companies are within the banking sector, especially in the Benelux. So that's why we call ourselves fintech, but it's broader than that. But our first target market is the fintech, the financial market.
Okay, thank you.
Two good questions on my side. So we talked about deployment, but customization. Because you come at the core of the firm, at the heart. So how much customization does every firm need, or hand-holding? Let me put it like that. And the second question is, if you pitch to a financial institution and they don't go with your solution, what other solutions are they going with? I'm talking about the US competitor, but just how otherwise would they manage what they currently have?
Yeah. Okay. So the first question was, well, could you repeat? I'm thinking about the second.
Customization.
Customization. Okay. Well, that's our major technology difference with the other vendors that I mentioned. What they do is they just chose their own domain model, and everyone has to alter the code, and there's huge deployment projects going on there. What we did is we made our core technology customizable from the start, so it's configuration and not customization at our sense. We have never, for now, had to update anything on the code in order to deploy our software at a company. So it's configuration, and then the rollout is a matter of months compared to years for some of our competitors. And actually, for the smallest deployments, it's a matter of hours. So that's actually one of the major things that we decided to go for on a technology level from the start. The second question, damn, I'm thinking too much. What was the second question?
The second, if people don't use your product, what else do they use?
Okay. Well, the most common way of doing this right now is just using Excel. So if you look at a major bank, for example, they have their centralized governance tool that supports all the processes, and you can do an export in Excel, and then this Excel is emailed to people from the second line support or the second line compliance department, and they just dig into this and make overviews of this. Some companies are already using stuff like a Power BI by Microsoft or other generic analytics or data analytics tools. But you see that this doesn't really work. Actually, our first major customer, Rabobank, was trying to do this with exactly Power BI, but it doesn't give you automated follow-up or the specific overviews that you need for identity and access management. And actually, from that experience, that's the niche that we identified. And from that point on, we started putting the gas there. That's Dunglish, I think. But accelerating on that niche, an analytics overview platform specifically for identity and access management.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Martin. Some tough questions there. So I'd now like to hand over to our next company, Hassan from Hire Me, if you'd like to come in. Thank you. Over to you, Hassan.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just make sure that your screen is maximized so that we can see your presentation.
Right. Is this good? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, great. So I'm Hassan from the company Hire Me. Hire Me is a holistic SaaS solution and marketplace that provide a seamless and exceptional recruiting experience for candidates and companies. Nowadays, attracting and retaining talent is not only about employees anymore. It's due to the skills gap and the changes in the society. There are more and more contingent workers. And for companies to thrive, they have to focus on both nowadays. Currently, unfortunately, there are only softwares dealing with either employees or contingent workers, but not for both. So companies are facing four major challenges. The first one is the increasing shortage of candidates. For example, in Europe, in 2020, there is a lack of 500,000 ITers. Companies also have to deal with compliance management. We've seen it in Europe with the GDPR, or in the UK recently with the IR35 concerning freelancers. Companies have to use so many tools nowadays to be able to attract and hire their talents, and all this results obviously in an increase in the cost, and so they lack control over it. So if you look at the market, there are a lot of HR tech apps that are emerging, but they are all focusing on one part of the problem only, leaving companies with no choice than combining several tools and suppliers. And that's why nowadays there is a real demand for a one-stop shop platform. And that's what Hire Me provides, one tool that does it all. One tool where companies can attract and hire and retain their talents. They can reduce their cost and control their budget. And something very important, give a better experience to their candidates and to their recruiters. HireMe accompanies organizations of all sizes and helps them manage the whole recruitment strategy to bring their recruitment objectives to the next level. So to understand the impact of our solution can have on our companies, on our clients, on the market, let's have a look at some key numbers. You can see that in 2018, there were $4.3 trillion of dollars spent by companies regarding their contingent workers, 68 billion for direct recruitment, and over 400 billion regarding the investment in HR technology. If you ask SMEs leaders, they 91% of them will tell you that HR tech is very critical for them, and 58% of HR leaders consider talent acquisition technology as their first priority. So whatever improvement organizations can do, you can see that it will lead to a serious cost savings and budget optimization. Just a quick look at how our solution looks like. While the existing solutions focus on one or a few features, HireMe is a unique solution that regroups all the features on one platform. We offer innovative tools like recruitment marketing, vendor and freelance management systems, and the applicant tracking system to create a secure and expansive recruitment environment. So, how did we create our business model? We've come up with what we believe to be a virtuous circle. We are creating an ecosystem where it starts with attracting companies thanks to our SaaS solution. The clients will create and publish jobs that will generate revenues on adverts, but also from the suppliers that will obviously we helping them on the niche positions. We will rapidly grow our database of talents, which will become as well a major asset for attracting new clients. And this will lead again to more jobs and so on and so on. That's why we call it a virtuous circle. So now maybe a quick look at our team. We are a team of 4 entrepreneurs with a long experience in the recruitment industry. We started our own recruitment agency that we brought into an international level. We've learned a lot. We learned how to grow a business, how to deal with financial matters, and to expand internationally. That gave us obviously a deep expertise about the acquisition of talent, and which is now a very strong asset when it comes to HR technologies. Have a look at what we have done so far. We've identified during our recruiters' experience all the pain points that could not be solved without the help of the technology, and that's why we started in 2017, HireMe, focusing mainly on the R&D. We launched our first module and onboarded clients later on in order to adapt the platform to the real need of the market. We kept completing our solution based on our users' feedback. We onboarded companies from Fortune 100 to SMEs in order to be sure that we have the right solution for all of them. The next step for us will be to deliver the human capital management module by end of 2021. When it comes to HireMe, it's all about the process enhancement and the candidate experience. Company want to have the talent on demand, the right talent at the right time, at the right place, and at the right price. Companies can recruit and retain the best talent, increase employer brand recognition, and face business challenges easily with the best people on their side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Over to the panel for their questions.
Thank you. Emma, we cannot hear you, I think. Yeah. Emma, you're muted. Yeah.
Emma, you're on mute. Happens to all of us.
Oh, it does. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Great products and lovely to meet you. I just wanted to hear how you're going to kind of face the challenges of unemployment at the moment, where there's a real decrease in hiring in companies here in the UK. Are there any other revenue streams that HireMe has to kind of help negotiate through this?
Yeah, well, there is indeed some crisis in the employment market, but when it comes to the STEM market, for example, where we are focused on, we can see that, for example, if you look at the statistics of the last 6 months, there has been an increase in terms of advertising, for example. So if companies keep advertising, keep looking for those niche profiles, which are the talents of their companies. I'm talking about ITers, about engineers, about people in the life science. That's one thing. Second part of your question is indeed our source of revenue is pretty broad because we have different modules. Our solution is modulable. So that means that we can get revenues from different kind of companies, small ones, big ones, but also from different kind of profiles they will need and different kind of solution. They can advertise on our platform. They can use our ATS to manage their employees. They can use their the AVMS to manage their external workforce. But also one of the main point of our solution is that it gives a process, a strategy to companies to be able to build their own talent pool to prepare the future. So they will be able to hire at a lower cost and much more faster in the future. So when we discuss with companies right now, we face companies which indeed are on freeze. They don't hire. But they are preparing for the next year. We have also companies who are still hiring because they believe that it's a moment to take advantage of the situation and improve their workforce. But in any case, either if they are hiring right now or if they are not hiring, they can either hire directly thanks to our technology, or they can prepare their next hiring thanks to our technology as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hassan, you are active in a very competitive space at this moment, and you still haven't entirely convinced me that you will be able to stand out. Could you tell us something more, go a bit deeper in your go-to-market strategy and how your plans on how you will scale?
Yes, of course. Well, the thing is that right now it's we have been in the recruitment industry for a long time. We have been working with a lot of companies. We have placed a lot of people, and we know that it's getting more and more difficult to hire talent. And as I said, companies are going into the HR tech to help them face those challenges. The thing is that right now on the market, you have mainly vertical solutions. That means companies will provide companies with an ATS or VMS, but that doesn't solve their problem. For our own experience, as you could see, we have already onboarded more than 300 clients. The speech is very simple, and this has been done without any very big budget, marketing budget. It's all about when you go to a client and you say, okay, how are you dealing with recruiting, improving your employer branding, managing your contingent workforce, having a talent pool of candidates that will allow you to not depend on agencies and suppliers in the future, all in one tool. And the fact is that one of the very important aspect as well is the upselling that we will do. When we call a client, we don't have only an ATS to sell. We have as well a VMS, we have an employer branding, we have recruitment marketing, which means that we have more options to offer to a client. And when we put our foot in, we step in, then we can upsell and sell the rest, because it's an obvious behavior for someone that when you're satisfied with something, that you just keep buying at the same shop for your own needs. Not sure if this answers your question.
Mm-hmm. So you're not really investing right now in digital marketing or in marketing efforts, or limited?
Well, we have been focusing the first couple of years deeply in developing on the R&D, developing the software, the product, which is obviously very broad, and making sure that we have our metrics right. We are starting as of 1st January 2021 with bigger budgets in terms of marketing, as we are scaling right now, and we are also approaching more markets. That's why we're here as well, because we are planning to step into the UK market, from there to the US market. So that's where our bigger investments will start on the digital marketing side.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Two questions on my end. First of all, do you aim to hire junior and mid-level people? I mean, is that where the platform is best used and less for senior? That's a question. And then B, is it not a bit sad that you just only match the people, but then leave the experience potentially to the employer, to other platforms? So is it for you a thought to also become more vertically integrated and besides matching, also basically create a whole workflow tool, a platform where both the customer, both the applicant and the employer can basically stay in one environment from start to finish?
Can you please repeat the first question?
The first question was, is a platform best used for junior and mid-level people and less for senior? That's the question. Is that correct, my assumption there? And the second one is, why don't you just do the whole from the beginning to the end and not just the matching?
Yeah, sorry. No, the platform is actually for everybody, not only for junior and seniors. It's for intern, so for students who are looking for their first jobs, for fresh graduates who are looking for their first job. Sorry, for students who are looking for an internship, for junior profiles, medium profiles, senior profiles. Our algorithms are very, very precise, which makes it very, very interesting for companies to really target only the right prospect or right candidate that they need for the organization. You know, one of the major frustrations of candidates that they are spammed all the time. It's either by email or by phone, nowadays by WhatsApp even, that they receive solicitations which are not right with their profiles. Our platform is dedicated for all kind of profiles, every level of experience, and the fact that our algorithms are very precise is one of the major features that give our candidates a better experience. You know, candidates are very much solicited. The fact that they get a better experience on Hire Me, for example, it's the only platform where they can have an anonymous profile, but still have a look on what happens in the market and enter in contact with companies. This is one of few examples of how Hire Me makes sure that every professional can manage his career in a very, very smooth way without all the frustrations which are now on the market when they are dealing, for example, with recruitment agencies. Regarding your second question, I'm not sure if I understood it correctly, but I'm going to try to answer. How our platform deals with, gives to companies all the tools they need to attract, hire, and retain their employees and their contingent workers. We are a SaaS and a marketplace platform, so we don't give professional recruiting services. But the fact is that if a company uses a recruitment agencies, the recruitment agency will introduce candidates to the company, but the recruitment agency doesn't have all the inside information of the company. So how do you really select and choose and explain the company culture and be sure that what your internal manager is looking for? There has always been a gap in the way that recruiters work, and the fact that we give to companies the right tools that gives them, as we say, it's a bit like when using Hire Me for companies. It's a bit like if they have their own headhunting company internally, that they will be able to build their own talent pools, classify talent pools. They will be able to improve their employer branding by interesting medias and sharing and so on. So they will be able to attract, and they will be able to give also a very, very smooth process to the candidates thanks to the automation. One of the biggest frustrations of candidates is that, for example, when they apply for a job, they don't receive a feedback. When they go into start a process after the first round, second round, they also don't always get the feedback. All those kind of actions which are now automated thanks to Hire Me will give the possibilities to companies to have not to harm their employer brand, to be more attractive, and to have a smoother way recruitment process that will, in the end, help them hire the right talents, hire them faster, and save a lot of money for hiring.
Great, thank you very much, Hassan and Jaime. And it was nice to see a short-term guest panelist in the back of Frederick's screen there. So thank you to him as well. Now we're going to go, last but not least, over to Cloudalize and Benny. Over to you, Benny.
Yeah, and thank you, Hannah. Happy to be here. So good afternoon. Cloudalize developed a platform that consists both out of hardware and software that delivers 3 services. A desktop as a service solution, which really delivers a virtual workspace for engineers and designers and also students in engineering and design to really work remotely from anywhere, from home these days, as if they were in the office. And the compute solution is really a managed Kubernetes that in the off-peak hours, in the night, in the weekends, you can run artificial intelligence or rendering workloads. And we are developing and nearly launching a new service, which is called an app streaming service, together with our partner Epic Games. We have about 100 customers today in our own data centers where we do co-location in London and New Jersey. As before, people and customers purchase a private cloud because we really deliver private cloud. So we build in a data center of the customer or partner. They will, of course, scale to an initial size, do proof of concepts on our own infrastructure. So our main 3 differentiators are that we are doing private clouds, that we do custom hardware, any of the shelf hardware, and we do that managed. And we are backed by Horizons Ventures from Hong Kong, which is one of the world's most well-known deep tech investors. Our growth is also accelerating, yes, due to COVID-19, but also due to the partner network effect, because we have a partner go-to-market. So at a certain point, we're starting to leverage the customers and the sales and marketing efforts of our partners. So let's take a step back. Maybe you didn't really understand what a GPU is. The GPUs are the reason why AI is evolving so fast. But not only AI, also real-time rendering, big data analytics, and VR. Those 4 pictures, they're all based on the rapid advances in GPUs, and we believe they will transform our society in the next 10 years way more impactful than the CPU ever did in the previous 50 years. So GPU power is great, but it's very hard to start actually using it. And usually you will end up buying a traditional workstation, but that is a very ineffective tool for real-time collaboration. So the UK was the first country in the world to enact a BIM level 2 mandate, which really means that you need to collaborate on a construction project in real time on the same big data set. And you cannot do that with traditional workstation. That's why we launched our first data center in London. So you need to virtualize. And this old virtualization technology is called Virtual Desktop Infrastructure, VDI. Most of the technical people at Cloudalize are also ex-VDI consultants because that old technology has a lot of disadvantages. It's a high upfront purchase and maintenance cost. There's a lack of automation. You're only using it 20% of the time, meaning during the day. Of course, all the big cloud players are providing GPUs, but they're very plain vanilla, very expensive, poorly supported, and you still need to build your own platform on top. So that's why we've built a platform that combines several services so that we can effectively use the hardware 24/7. It has a huge impact on the unit costs. We can use any hardware to optimize it to the use case. So it's really the marriage between hardware and software that is giving a lot of additional benefits. And of course, the platform is multi-tenant, which means that a partner can sell it under its own brand name and pricing. So for example, the Oslo School of Architecture and Design is a customer. All 800 students are on our platform. The partner in the UK who purchased a private cloud from us is also talking to the top 10 UK universities because all science and engineering education for the moment in the world has the same problem. The computer classes are closed, and 1/3 of students does not have a powerful enough computer. So another customer, SPG, is using the automation features of our platform to achieve impressive time to design gains. Recent Gartner and Frost & Sullivan reports came out of our space. We are mentioned in both as a unique position, niche player focused. So we are a vertical cloud. All the other clouds are horizontal. So we're very strongly differentiated. Our main competitor is more into gaming. And we have a very, I would say, experienced management team as well, and really ready to scale our business here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benny, and thank you for keeping to the 5 minutes as well. Over to our panel now for the last round of questions.
Hi, Benny. Great to meet you. Great product, very on trend at the moment, I can see. One feature I wanted to kind of see if it was in was whether you had a timing facility so that employers can actually see how long their employees are on the cloud as a virtual server.
Oh yes, of course. So we have an admin access part of the platform, and of course, as an IT administrator, you see exactly how long each user has been using a certain resource. Because, for example, we enable an hourly billing model. So obviously, you need to keep track of how many hours have been consumed. So yeah, definitely we do that, Emma.
So is that active use, or can someone just log in and leave themselves logged in and it looks like they're working?
Excellent question. What we do is we provide all kinds of auto shutdown options. So for example, an option is I'm automatically shutting down the instance after 1 hour. And that is also a very important cost saver. So you're shutting it down and using that GPU card again for an artificial intelligence workload, for example. And there are many different shutdown policies and options as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hi, Benny.
Hey, Friedrich.
Great presentation, fantastic technology. Everybody agrees. You work with NVIDIA. NVIDIA says you have the best platform in the world in your area. You partner with Epic Games. That's a fantastic achievement. But you say now is the time. The time has come to scale. But you're still a very technical company. So how big is the part of your revenue that goes to sales and marketing? And are you willing to spend more on sales and marketing to make Cloudalize the Dropbox in your niche? Or because I have the feeling that you're lacking a bit behind in that regard, in the marketing part. So everybody agrees the platform is fantastic, but maybe you could use an extra push in the sales and marketing department. And are you tackling that, or how are you tackling that? And are you willing to spend more on that in that area?
Yeah, great question. So of course we are tackling that, and that's why we are doing a new round now. It's really to invest more into sales and marketing. Please also consider we only went live with our product by the end of 2017. So we're growing times 3, then times 4 this year, and next year the growth will be more than times 4. So we are growing very fast. The effect also comes from partnering with private cloud players. So usually it's the larger IT companies that partner with us, and we can leverage their existing customer base. But it takes time, of course, to onboard a partner. Let's take this partner that now purchased the first private cloud from us. He already started scaling up on our platform 1 year ago. But eventually we will become, I'm quite sure of that, a huge company, Frederick. And we are trying to accelerate that as fast as possible by doing an additional round right now, yes.
I believe you, Benny, to be clear. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Benny, good to see you. Long time. Quick question. Can you elaborate a bit on the Epic Games, what you're doing there? And I mean, obviously you can discuss the commercials, but just what are you doing with those, and how do you see that rolling out to potentially other game developers?
Yeah, exactly. So we are working with Epic Games and the enterprise use case of their game engine. So we're seeing a huge growth in 3D configurators for virtual real estate and automotive. And so we are, for example, already integrated in a one-click experience with Prompto, which is a virtual real estate platform of our partner Around Media, which means that, let's say you're on an old iPad and you're on the browser and you want to go visit a piece of real estate you're thinking of buying. With a one-click experience, you are in that amazing environment because we're streaming a supercomputer directly to your browser via iframe integration. And so when Epic Games saw that demo, they said, oh my God, but this is it. We need this distribution tool. And so they started talking with us, and now we're building something together with them. As a lot of has been moving in this space, they used to be partnering with Furios, but then Furios has been bought by their main competitor, Unity. And so that's why they're partnering with us now.
Okay,
Does that make
fantastic,
sense,
thanks.
Lucas? Yep.
It does, thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Benny. So that's the end of our pitching. So thank you very much for sticking with us, and to everyone who's taken part. I'm sure you'll agree that it's been a very impressive display of some of the innovation and the sort of tech that we're seeing in Belgium. So now we're going to have a short break until 4 p.m. when our panelists will deliberate, and after that we'll come back and announce the three winners. So we'll see you at 4. In the meantime, we have a short video for you to watch as well. So thank you very much.
Welcome to the GP. So Tony and I are part of the Global Entrepreneur Program, and we are what is called dealmakers. So we help entrepreneurs from abroad to relocate their global HQ to the UK if they feel that this is a place where they will have better access to talent, market, and finance. So anyone who would like help with that, we would be delighted to help. We're also full-time entrepreneurs, and we wanted to share with you some of our experiences of being an entrepreneur in times of COVID, when everything has been turned on its head. So I'm going to turn it over to Tony to introduce himself. And Tony, I'm going to let you start with sharing your experience of how you turned your company around during COVID times.
Thanks, Liv. So as Liv mentioned, we're both part of the Global Entrepreneur Program, which means we just mentor overseas founders and companies coming into the UK from all around the world. We've been doing this for years, and we also run our own companies. So the idea behind the program is that people who've already been through that journey that you're about to go through can advise and mentor the companies coming into the UK, plugging you into those networks that you all want to be in, whether that's potential partners, clients, or access to finance, of course. I mean, COVID hit all of us, I think, with a shock in terms of the size and breadth of it. As long as you're not in East Asia, of course, because if you are, then you've been used to similar virus outbreaks in the past, and that's why I think East Asia dealt with it in a very smart way. I mean, across the rest of the world, it's been a challenge, and I think particularly for the business I was running at the time, it was particularly challenging because we launched a business intelligence platform specifically for companies who are going across national borders. So our client base basically stopped overnight just as we launched the platform. So we had to recalibrate our business and think, well, okay, what's the core value of the intelligence, the data, the service that we're providing? Is it just for companies, or could it be recalibrated into different areas and markets? You know, for example, one of the areas in which we've done fairly well since then is how do we utilize our data set? So we were looking at how opportunities are articulated for companies coming into the UK and the rest of Europe, looking at certain sectors, so whether it's life sciences or whether it's tech or whether it's or whether it's education, different markets, and then saying, well, all companies need to know the same things, which are where are the best locations, where are the clusters, how do I, what's my costs base going to look like, how much is the salary for the people I'm going to pay in those different locations differ, what's my tax rates, is there investment in those landscapes? So we were drawing in all different data on that. So of course, there's not just the companies who want to know that. There's all types of different industry consultancy bodies. There's the cities themselves who want to project a certain image. So we looked at different revenue streams and different clients. It forced us to recalibrate the business, and that took a while. But ultimately, because of COVID pushing us in that direction, it meant that we weren't just looking at one particular revenue stream, one client base. We diversified. And I think that is very much a case, and I think it's the case for a lot of businesses out there, where COVID pushes you to do things that you wouldn't normally have done. I think the skill that I've learned and the team learned is that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you can turn everything into a positive. It's how you react to such situations, because whether it's a pandemic or whether it's something else, whether it's a key member of your staff leaving, whether it's you lose a key client, whether one of your key investors pulls out, you're all going to come across situations that challenges you in ways that you haven't been challenged before, and you have to reach out for support and help. And I think that's where that's the interesting part of COVID for a lot of founders who are all at an early stage. How do you use situations to improve what you're doing, to improve the communication, both internally with your team and externally as well? And we'll talk a bit more about that later, and I'll let Liv talk about her experience first, and then we'll talk a bit more about I suppose the things I want to draw out in terms of the tips and the advice and what the UK government I think has done, which is of benefit to founders like yourselves.
Amazing. Thanks, Tony. And it's really fascinating hearing about your pivot, because what I do with my company Seed Tribe is we connect impactful entrepreneurs with investors. And when I look at the market overall of investment into startups in the UK, it's pretty much stayed even in absolute terms. But what's happened is that the investors have concentrated their investment into a much smaller number of entrepreneurs, industries, and tended to sort of invest into companies that already had some kind of traction. But interesting hearing you, Tony, because we always just, sometimes I just sound like a broken record saying that investors invest into founders, and you are the exact not I'm trying to blow your trumpet, but you are the exact model of what the investors are looking for, which is someone who is able to just keep calm under pressure and just think on their feet and then pivot and adapt accordingly. I mean, I'm not sure what I would have done in your situation, because at first, on first appearance, you'd feel that your entire business is going to fall through the cracks. So it certainly highlights exactly why investors feel so strongly about who the team is more than anything, because there are certain circumstances outside of your control that you just need to deal with. So that's really interesting. On my side, actually, because we look at impactful entrepreneurs, in a way, this has been a really interesting silver lining time for us, because what I've found is that people are suddenly really interested in using business as a force for good, as it were, and being able to use their business model to address some of the world's greatest challenges. So on the one hand, maybe if you were looking at plastic alternatives, that might not have the same level of interest right now. But on the other hand, if you are an online education platform, if you are linked to healthcare, whether that is physical or mental, whether you are looking at the food growing and distribution space, there are so many industries that have suddenly shot up and received so much interest. And I think this is therefore a really interesting time for entrepreneurs to really be able to capitalize on this time of turmoil and really stand out. And I think there are certain investors who might have taken a step back and suddenly reduced their risk appetite, but you actually have a really significant proportion of investors. Angel investors are, by definition, quite open to risk, and this is a really amazing opportunity for them to really embrace this time and actually look at the best founders and see how they can put their money to good use. So it's actually if you are able to pivot your business and you're the right type of entrepreneur, this is a fantastic time to get the money in, because there's a lot of investors wondering where they're going to put their money. It's not necessarily exciting to put it in a bank account or in listed companies. So this can be a really good time for them as well, and we've seen this a lot in those specific type of industries.
Yeah, I think it's now's the time, isn't it, where I think initially at the start of the pandemic, so this was back in the spring, a lot of investors were just making sure that their portfolio were okay. Right, they'd already invested money in them. They were making sure they were fine. So they weren't necessarily open to new conversations with companies looking for investment. At that point, I think they are now. Now's a really interesting time, because now, as you say, they're looking for new investees. They're looking for new, to refresh their pipeline and to get that money out the door, because it's no good sitting in their bank accounts. So now's a good time to start speaking to them. So if you've managed to get over the hump of the worst of the pandemic, and now you're into a new cycle, now's the time to start opening out. And the UK is a great place to raise investment. I think at the start of this year, about 60% of all investment coming in to startups, early stage startups in Europe, was going through the UK. So half of that is UK money, half of that is because it's such a great place for investors to come and sink in their money. Think of the SoftBank Vision Fund, also Middle East money coming in that's in London, biggest fund in the world, as well as some others. But I want to talk a bit about what the UK government's done during the pandemic, which has been kind of interesting. Intervening in ways the government doesn't normally intervene, both at the early stage. So for companies who are at that very early stage, they did set up a co-investment fund with other VCs, didn't they, to ensure that those companies that had already had some traction were not going to falter. So the rising stars weren't going to suddenly take a dip, which I think helped immensely. And then for other businesses that I work with, and my own business, they also brought out two schemes in particular, which were incredibly useful. One was the loan scheme. So if you've been trading for a time before the beginning of this year, you were able to access, I think, up to £50,000. And I think for a lot of small businesses, that proved immensely useful, because it was a government-backed scheme, of course, so you don't have to pay anything for the first 12 months, and then it's at a low interest rate. So it's very cheap money for those companies to access in a way they normally would be able to access such cash. And then the second one was the furlough scheme. So if you've just gone to the trouble of hiring and recruiting staff, the last thing you want to do is to lose them, because you spent a lot of time and effort in acquiring them. And the furlough scheme meant that you could still keep them on, but you didn't have to pay them. Right? So the government would cover off 80% of their salary, and they could work from home, because not many people coming into the office at that point. So that was it. That we utilised both of those schemes. A lot of companies that did also. It just helps you keep going during an incident which is no fault of the companies or founders themselves. So I think it's justified for the government to get involved, and right that they did so. And I think the furlough scheme now in the UK is still going to the March next year, isn't it?
That's the plan, exactly, until March. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think another amazing impact of the furlough scheme is that essentially the UK government has provided this safety net below which entrepreneurs or small businesses will not fall. And as a result, it does give people confidence to take risks and try out new types of business, new investments, etc. So there's that sort of just that reassurance that you're always going to be okay at worst case scenario, which
exactly. And there's an emphasis from the UK government's been pretty consistent through the different governments we've had through the years of always backing knowledge intensive businesses. They are always encouraging people to innovate and collaborate We have something called Innovate UK, which the UK government spends up to about £500 million a year into giving that to small to medium-sized enterprises to just do that, to just innovate and collaborate. And if you're doing that, then it's a great environment, it's a great ecosystem to be in, because there's lots of support there, because you have all that public kind of subsidy and finance. And if you look at the industrial strategy, first time we had one for over a decade, that was brought out 2 years ago. The focus again is on all these knowledge intensive areas. So if I'm a founder looking for a place that's best suited in terms of an environment to grow and scale my business, I'm looking for that where, yes, of course you want the low tax rates, you don't want to be penalized for innovation at the early stage, you want subsidies, you want an active investing environment, and you want a place where you can get the skills needed to grow your business. I don't think there's many places better in the world in order to do that right now.
And countless universities who also do that as well. There are so many top universities, Imperial, Oxford, UCL, Cambridge, Manchester, that all offer these incredible programs of pairing up PhD master's students with entrepreneurs and looking to build that, help that knowledge become practice as well. So a lot of support in that innovation space on many levels. Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and so it's great that we are able to talk and articulate all this, the opportunity that we see here as entrepreneurs who've grasped these opportunities. So that's why I think the advice that we give to companies like yours is so powerful, because we're able to plug you into them. So if you are interested in learning more, reach out and get in touch with us. Or get in touch through your local, we work with local embassies, local consulates in your country, and GP headquarters as well, which is based in London, but the deal makers are based all around the UK, so we're able to give you a full 360 about the opportunities that are available here.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We've had some very heated deliberation, and all of the panelists have commented on the very high quality that we've had. Frederick's been involved in us running this competition for the past 4 years, I think, and he's commented that this is the highest standard yet. So thank you very much. So our winners will be announced very shortly. Remember that the 3 winners today will then be shortlisted to participate in the Tech Rocketship Awards European Grand Finale next year, and we're very much hoping that we can get some Belgian companies going on to win at those awards. So without further ado, I'll put you out of your suspense, and I'll hand over to the panel to announce the 3 winners. So in no particular order, Emma, if you'd like to go first to announce the company and why they've been selected.
Perfect, thank you, Hannah. So our first winner is Innovad. We felt it had a really strong global application. It has the ability to disrupt one of the largest industries in the world for the positive changes it can provide. It's, again, has measured tangible results that it can bring to and improve this industry. The ability it has to adapt and change to suit the market is fantastic, whether it's plant-based diets or it's, again, focused in the meat industry. For us as well, the data that it will have from stem cells alone, working with those, is phenomenal. And with biotech outperforming gold this year, it's in a super strong market position. And the UK, again, is very open to positive changes like this. And farming over here now is getting stricter. It's getting more pro the animals. And so I feel it's bang on trend. So yeah, very well done, Jamal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, and congratulations, Jamal. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope we will show everybody the value which we stand for. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Now on to Frederick, who will announce our next winner.
Thank you, Hannah. As you already mentioned, the list with participants, the quality of the list was very, very high this year. So it actually was very difficult to make a selection of 3 candidates. But number 2, without further ado, is Cloudalize. Benny, congratulations. We choose and we pick Cloudalize because we see that Cloudalize is a company that is consistently making a lot of progress, and that has been making a lot of progress over the years. And we do feel that there is still a huge potential for the supercomputer platform that Cloudalize is offering. You also have some very strong partners, as you mentioned yourself. If you name NVIDIA and if you name Epic Games, I mean, those are not the smallest players. You have investors like Li Ka-shing of Horizons Ventures, which also stresses the potential you have in Asia. You are already active on the British market. You already have activities in the UK. So I think Cloudalize should be on the list, should be in the top 3. And I think the jury agrees here. So congratulations again, Benny. And we're happy that Cloudalize made the selection.
Thank you, and very honored with this award. I'm so happy for the whole team, and especially for our partner in the UK. I think this award will really help with bringing the message out that we can help science and engineering education in the UK as well as the enterprises to achieve more.
Great, thank you very much, Frederick, and congratulations, Benny and Cloudalize. And now over to Lucas for our 3rd winner.
Yeah, so the 3rd winner of today would be Uncomfort. So look, maybe personally, we have with our fund made investments in the VR/medical space before with like companies like Oxford VR. It's different than what Uncomfort does, but that also shows us that actually what you guys done in 5 years is quite remarkable. The fact that you are able to build such a great business and company and you know, such a wide vision in 5 years and raised 10 million. That's impressive. I was really surprised to learn from you that when I first heard about you guys and read about it, I thought it would be for low friction operations. I was intrigued to learn that actually for quite complex operations you can also be used, and the less pills and everything that we use and just more use other alternatives, I think the better for society as a whole. So congratulations, and hopefully all goes well in the next round.
Anything you'd like to say, Mario?
Thank you very much. Well, firstly, thanks very much for having this honor to participate already, and then being selected as of to the finale is even a much bigger pleasure for us. I agree very much with what Lucas mentioned, that the potential of this digital therapies is not yet known, and we have to unleash a lot. Our choice to enter the UK is made as one of the primary countries in the bigger countries in Europe, because we consistently have seen initiatives in the UK to improve the healthcare significantly for patient benefit. And I'm very happy to be able to next year participate to the finale. So thanks, it's a pleasure to be there. We see each other in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. We very much look forward to seeing you and all of our winners in the final. So a very big virtual round of applause to our 3 winners and also to all of our participants. Usually we hold this event at the ambassador's residence here in Brussels, and we'd at this point we'd toast you. So we'll have to do that virtually, I'm afraid. So if we could just quickly have all the 3 winners up on screen for a virtual group shot. The times that we live in. Have we got Benny? Okay, we're missing Benny, but we'll have to just have a group shot with the 2 of you, and then we can maybe Photoshop Benny in later.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So very quickly, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone who participated today. And to all of our panelists for giving up their time and sharing their expertise. And then finally, a big thank you to my colleague Elias, who hasn't been on screen, but has been absolutely instrumental putting this event together and providing the technical support in the background. It's obviously not easy to do this kind of event virtually. So thank you all for bearing with us. And we hope you found it sort of as interesting and enjoyable as we have. If you'd like to know more about sort of trade and investment work that we're doing at the embassy, please do get in touch with us, and please do follow our 3 finalists in their journey to the Europe-wide Tech Rocketship Awards. So thank you very much, and on that note, have a great evening and good celebrations to our 3 winners. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you shortly.
Bye.